I didn't go to school. I left in high school. Mark Twain said, I never let schooling get in the way of my education.
Welcome to the Inside Forbes Council's podcast. Each episode shares transformative insights and advice from members of Forbes Councils, a group of invitation-only communities for successful executives and entrepreneurs. This is Inside Forbes Councils.
Hey everyone, this is Stephen Ganoza, and welcome to Inside Forbes Councils. Today we have my interview with Noa Khamallah, co-founder of Charge and a member of the Forbes Technology Council. Charge is a micromobility company dedicated to building the largest network of electric charging and service stations for e-bikes and scooters. Noa is a successful entrepreneur despite never finishing school, so we also covered his thoughts on academia, the future of work, and whether a degree is still a prerequisite for success. Noa, welcome.
Thank you very much, Stefan.
So Noa, tell us just a little bit about yourself, maybe a little bit about what it is that Charge does.
Been working in the micromobility industry now since the last 3 years, almost since it's born. Kick scooters are literally taking over the globe. We have found a way basically to crystallize this business model to make cities more sustainable and have charging stations for these kick scooters around the globe. So that's a very thrilling journey for us.
So how did you get involved co-founding Charge?
Well, I would say being the first mover myself into go-to-market, we've quickly seen that if we wanted this business model to last, we needed a product that have a longer lifespan, because scooters, basically, they stay on the streets. So we needed it to be able to park them properly to avoid vandalism. And it is also not okay for cities any longer to have kick scooters hanging around in sidewalks. It doesn't look organized.
Right. You don't want a backlash of people being annoyed that they've got to be stepping over scooters all the time.
Exactly, which made it very hard for operators and also regulators that were strengthening a bit regulations for kick scooters. We believe our solution actually will last as long as kick scooter industry lasts, which was the case right before COVID-19 happened. Now we will see where this is all going to go.
Yeah, but I imagine that once the quarantines are lifted and the weather's nice, people will be all over the scooters and the products and going everywhere.
We all hope so. And that's the more optimistic outcome we can foresee. But also there are certain realities when I see so many unemployed people who've been fired and therefore unemployed. The cost of living that will become higher. People who lost so much money and so on. We think that may have an impact on the business somehow. So we are looking forward for the good days to come. More activity and see how we can all go through this together.
Right. That's a very good point. The whole sort of balance of urban living might be impacted by the unemployment situation and the long-standing economic impact of all this. Let's pivot a bit though, because and this might be especially relevant if people have lost jobs or they're trying to figure out what's next. They might be looking at entrepreneurial opportunities. You yourself, you've had success as an entrepreneur. Charge, we could say, was very successful, at least until coronavirus, and we hope that it will be after coronavirus is over. But you found all this success without having a college degree. So tell us a little bit about that experience, your career trajectory, how you built this business without having, that piece of paper from an accredited institution.
Well, the college degree, such a big question in our society, right? Well, I think I will share with you that it goes back when I was 17, 18 years old. My first work experiences have taught me skills and shaped my attitude in a way that no college degree could have. I started at 18 years old by doing door-to-door sales. Okay? Mm-hmm. Door-to-door sales, Stephen, it's punishing.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it.
Can you imagine starting your day having doors being slammed at your face 20, 30 times per day. This taught me resilience, adaptability, how to close my pitches, how to close sales. This taught me to stay focused and on target, and also a lot on human psychology. You can have an approach at 3 p.m. with somebody and come back to him at 4 p.m. with a total different approach, and actually that may work out. It also taught me that each no will lead you towards the right yes. Now, regarding the attitude, it reinforced the simple fact that the winner isn't the one who is the best, isn't the one who's got the best degree, isn't the one who's performing the most. The real winner to me is the one who doesn't give up. Now, regarding the college degree, I didn't go to school. I left in high school. And, Mark Twain said, I never let schooling get in the way of my education. For my part, I read 30 books a year. And those were enough to me with that mindset at 18 years old, thinking of adapting myself, being resilient, not giving up, understanding the target, and to not let fear outweigh my desire to succeed. Those were the real foundation in which I have started to go on regarding my career.
So that makes a lot of sense, and we hear these stories, similar stories from other entrepreneurs who either dropped out of school, right? It's not an uncommon story to have learned this sort of resilience, this being okay with rejection, being not afraid, right? Versus academia where you're always afraid to get a B or something, right? But society's still structured in a way that, the college degree is almost like permission, right? So I'm wondering, in your experience not having that degree, did that lead to any specific roadblocks to your success?
Absolutely. I mean, a victory and a win without losses, they're not tasteful, my friend. So with this in mind, yes, roadblocks were all along the way. You got to start with the mindset that others people's opinion of you doesn't have to become your reality, and that your value doesn't decrease based on a company's inability to see your worth. With that in mind, and if you have that type of mindset, and if you have that type of attitude, this will translate into actions that will clearly express who you are and won't let any recruiter steal. Self-confidence, when you bring fresh knowledge to the table, and when you're able to bring that, to demonstrate that your abilities are way more of a value than a degree, and that your life and past work experience are way more than a degree, it's when you're going to make a difference with a recruiter. I think when I was between 24 to 28 years old, I got rejected 30 to 35 times. I tried to apply to be like a sales representative for a major network, cell phone network. They refused, they declined. Why? Because you don't have a degree. I tried to apply to be a sales representative to sell perfumes. No, why? Because you don't have a degree. I tried to apply for so many different jobs that always came back to me that you don't meet the degree requirement. So that pushed me literally to go out of my comfort zone, to go the extra mile in order to show to these people that the degree is nothing compared to what I will be able to do, compared to my motivation and compared to my will to learn. So what I did, and I will always remember that example because that's the company that hired me, which kicked my career back in the days, and it was Nespresso. They required basically a bachelor degree just to be a sales representative. Basically a guy that will sell coffee. You need a bachelor degree to sell a coffee, to say, hey, that Arabica coffee is amazing.
Makes complete sense, But go on.
I applied, and the human resources replied to me saying, hey, you don't have the degree requirement, therefore we're not going to move forward. I called her the morning following, say, "Hey, mom, did you get my resume to you? I sent it and I wonder what you thought about it." And she was like, "Yeah, and we've decided to not move forward with your application." I was like, "Okay, thank you." Hang up the phone. The morning following, printed my resume, go and bought some chocolates and went to the headquarters and wrote a handwritten letter and dropped it there at the reception to this HR lady.
Mm-hmm.
5 days later, she called me in for an interview. 2 days later, I was hired.
So what do you think led to the success there to getting in the door? Just persistence, showing creativity. What was it?
It is actually the real question we have to ask ourselves is what I should do that others candidates aren't doing. And that applies, doesn't matter if you have a degree or not. What should I do that will show that my value is way higher than any other candidate? I showed her that I didn't give up, that I have been following up over the phone, and that I will come to her very door if needed, that I really wanted it. So if you get rejection, do not give up. Make rejection your vitamin. Make know your motivation and go for it. Do not let simple requirements on the LinkedIn ad or stop you for realizing your dreams, for getting the job you want. That shouldn't be a blocker.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that strategy would still work today? Because it seems like a lot of the job application process is automated, right? Like algorithms looking at resumes and scanning them.
Well, I would say go over the algorithm, and therefore you have to do research and find the person who in charge regarding that specific role you're looking after and reach out to that person directly and go forward and send her your resume directly as well. It will show how motivated you are. I mean, that's the thing. Each step that you're taking that is above and beyond the strict minimum will be well perceived. Do never forget that.
Got it. So basically, if you don't have the college degree, you could be really creative in your approach of how you get the hiring manager's attention. You could be really creative in demonstrating your value, your skills, your knowledge, even without the degree.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the dollars and cents of this, because statistically speaking, college graduates still have greater lifetime earnings than non-college graduates, right? How do you respond to that?
Well, I cannot speak for the statistics, but I can fairly say that the new tech industry has opened the door wide open to anyone who is self-educated with a very comfortable starting salary. And that's also the case in many different industries that are taking actually out the degree requirement in order to apply for jobs there. So there is a real shift in the way we are assessing candidates' worthiness that goes far beyond the piece of paper world with a ribbon. Believe now we're going towards a shift where we value more self-education, self-will, your ability to demonstrate that you can do something without having gone to like a school to get the learning there from.
So in tech specifically, what's your view on sort of these online boot camps or things like Udacity? I get that you're saying that like, oh, you don't need to go to Stanford and like get into massive debt to learn how to code, right? Do you see any value in sort of these online, not accredited institutions?
I think everything that can get you knowledge, where you can learn something, is worth taking, regardless of if you have a PhD or not. Actually, I would say learning through these platforms can definitely say, hey, I've took 3 courses on accounting. I'm an accountant. No, you have qualifications that are issued by these courses that you have successfully passed. Congratulations. But what will make you good at being an accountant is the way you handle an entire work and an entire project. So I think these courses are useful, and I wouldn't advocate against, actually. What do you think?
I've actually taken a coding course on, I think it was Udacity.
You liked it?
Well, I had always dabbled in sort of web development like from 20 years ago.
Okay.
So I had some baseline knowledge, and I thought it worked pretty well. I don't know. I always feel a little limited when like the projects that they give you are so strictly set up. Like this is exactly what you need to create versus me
Ah,
versus
okay.
like my usual go-to method of learning is like I would just open up Dreamweaver and mess around with the code, and like the server would crash, and then I'd know I'd have a while loop that was out of control. So full disclosure, I have no official credentials when it comes to web development aside from like one Udacity course, but I know enough to be dangerous, I guess.
Did you like it?
I like it. I like the structured creativity aspect of it. I think coding is creative, but I think you almost have to be more creative when you're in the confines of the structure of how machines work, right? And how the code is interpreted.
I agree with you. I agree. Uh, Coding is great, actually. You don't need to go to school actually to learn how to code.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I learned to code in my parents' basement.
What, you had the Microsoft back in the days?
Oh, yeah, it was what the hell was it? I forget the exact. I mean, it started out simple, like just trying to like push GeoCities to its absolute limits. And then I guess it was Dreamweaver where Macromedia still owned it before Adobe bought it. So,
Wow, good guy.
but
I
then
mean, it's the kind of thing you don't lose, huh?
not really. And people are surprised. I came up in media production through video editing. And what I actually found is that like video editing and coding are not that far apart from one another in terms of like how you have to think, right? In terms of like logic and a structured creative approach.
Okay.
I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe I just like using both sides of my brain. I don't know.
Well, but I think you have a right thought process. I like it.
But anyway, back to academia. So given your success, with that degree, and we hear a lot from, particularly in the U.S. about like the student loan debt crisis and like how much college costs and how kids come out of it. What advice would you give to parents of teenagers today whose kids are coming or approaching their college years?
Well, to kids, I will tell them that they should have the courage to be who they are, know what society wants them to be. That's very important for the children to know that. They must have the strong will and the courage to be themselves and not what the society wants them to be in order to look good. They should not be afraid of the unknown. They should not be afraid of failures. And that progress takes place outside of the comfort zone. That's very important for them to know that. It's by failing that they will make progress. And wisdom usually also comes in the most unlikeliest place, like failures, like unknown. Therefore, I will highly recommend them to not be afraid to go where their gut and hearts tells them to. I would also tell them that going to college is a real investment in terms of time and money. And therefore, they should really assess if that would be beneficial to achieve their goals, if that will be detrimental in order for them to go where they should go. Going to depth in order to have a college degree shows how the US system is really broken and unfair to me. Now, what I will say to parents is that I will encourage them to let their children fail. They should also support their children to get back up. I will also recommend them to be a support in their children's choice, no matter how out of the box they are, as long as they stay in a very constructive trajectory. I would also say to parents that expensive college isn't a guarantee to success, but your child's will, your child's determination, your support to your child will most likely be a better bet than a college degree itself.
All good advice, Noah. A great discussion. A pioneer at the kick scooter movement that we hope will come out of the coronavirus okay, and a model of success without being under the burden of crushing student debt. So Noah, thank you. Noah, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Well, thanks to you, Stefan. It was really amazing.
This has been Inside Forbes Councils. Please be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you're a member of the Forbes Councils and would like to participate in our podcast series, please email your member concierge. If you're interested in joining a Forbes Council, learn more at forbescouncils.com.